All right, you guys, we're going to do just a quick recap. So the book is The Benefits of Being an Octopus, and our main character name is Zoe. And she was told by her teacher that everyone in class had to pick an animal that they could say was, in their opinion, the best animal in the world. And Zoe chose the octopus, okay? Now, Zoe lives at home with her 3 younger siblings. Okay, she's got 2 brothers, and one is a little baby named Hector, and there's Bryce and Aurora. And they've been in this home, which is a trailer, for about a year now, with their mom's new boyfriend, and his name is Lenny. So I was getting confused myself because there's a lot of names, there's a lot of characters in this book. So when I went through to preview our next chapters, I sort of, sometimes what I did was, instead of saying the names of her siblings, I just say my brother, okay? So we're just gonna cut down on some of the names, and it will help us to remember who was who, I hope. And remember, Zoe is imagining herself as an octopus. So the last thing that we read about, her mother and Lenny went into the bedroom, and she thought maybe they were having an argument. So she pretended she was an octopus, and she rolled around on the floor, and she crawled up the washing machine, and there was like a little hole where the wall had gotten soft because the rain had come through. And she was looking through that little hole with her big octopus eyes. So she's using her imagination. So sometimes when we're reading the coming chapters, she's going to pretend that she's an octopus again, okay? So we're going to be alerted to those moments. And so it becomes a little strange. That's when Zoe has become an octopus. But let's hear what happens, okay? In the morning, I wake up to the sound of Lenny's car. Okay, Lenny is the mother's boyfriend, okay? I wake up to the sound of Lenny's car pulling out of the driveway. The electricity still isn't back on, but the sun has started to lighten the sky for free. Another thing about Lenny is that he's never late to work. Even though his part-time job at the auto parts store has him leaving before 7, he's still on time and as clean shaven as you could possibly get. Between Lenny's obsession with his lather shaving brush and his insistence on paying attention to little details like clocks in his car's odometer, he's basically the exact opposite of my mom's other boyfriends, with their varying degrees of scuffiness, and whose main talents were eating all the food in our refrigerator. Well, Nate wasn't bad. He was kind, and those times he took me hunting were super fun. But then he stopped hunting and started drinking, and you can't hold down a job and take care of kids when you're like that. He just looked out the window of the camper van we lived in back when the answer was out there. I mean, maybe it was. Maybe he was looking for what he should do out the window, because my mom told him loads of time to go to an AA meeting, but he never went. Things went south between him and my mom one day when we were at the boat launch. He'd been trying to convince my brother to go swimming with him, but Bryce couldn't swim, and Nate was drunk and didn't exactly remember that. Evidently, being yelled at by your girlfriend in front of your kids and a whole bunch of kayakers wakes up something inside you. And he drove off in the camper van, and he didn't come back. I pushed myself up on my mattress until I can see Bryce and Aurora. Bryce had one of his nightmares last night, but you wouldn't know it from looking at him now. They're both still breathing deep like 2 little squirrely-haired Darth Vaders. I hate waking them up. It's like you finally won the lottery of peace and quiet, and then you rip that winning ticket to shreds and dump a bucket of angry, screaming monkeys on your head. I pull on my own clothes and brush my hair, and then perch myself next to them on their bed and give them each a little nudge. Bryce, Aurora, time to get up. Just a few years ago, my mom was the one waking me up. She sang this little good morning song, even though she can't carry a tune. That was when she had to keep a bag of frozen corn on her face to numb the pain from rotting teeth, because some people have parents who remind them to brush their teeth, but my mom's mom didn't. Still, she was determined not to take ibuprofen because she was pregnant with Aurora and had heard it could hurt the baby. She finally had to sell our beat-up car to scrape together the money to get those teeth extracted. She got 5 of them pulled, but the worst was the week after that, because there we were with no car, 15-month-old Bryce, who was coming down with an ear infection, and Aurora about to be born, and 2 more teeth started throbbing. That was before we found the Octopus DVD, and that was definitely before Lenny saved the day and paid for a new set of teeth for my mom. I gave Bryce and Aurora each another nudge, but it was like trying to wake up 2 rocks. I started to pull the bedspread off them. Bryce grabs hold tight, curls into it, and growls. Monkeys growl sometimes, right? It can't always be ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ah. Aurora, with her eyes still closed, pinches her face together tight. You've got to get up, I say. You're not Mommy, Bryce growls back. I don't have to listen to you. Not Mommy, Aurora echoes. Every day it's like this. Does it matter that it was me who told them a cool story last night? No. You know Mommy has to sleep in because she had to wake up for the baby last night, I remind him. I didn't point out that she never stayed in bed like this when they were babies. I peeked in on her enough mornings recently to know she's probably lying in the fetal position, and that if I ask when she's going to get up, she'll say, soon, but she won't. I've stopped hoping to see her before I leave for school. And being rejected like that is not what Bryce and Aurora need to start the day. You're not Mommy, Bryce yells at the top of his lungs. Screaming monkeys, flipping screaming monkeys. 20 minutes later, I managed to get them out the door and to the corner of our road in the trailer park, where the Head Start bus picks them up. Bryce is still in his pajamas, and Aurora insisted on wearing a skirt and a t-shirt, even though it's January in Vermont. But they're both wearing winter coats, so that's something. And everyone brushed their teeth for at least a minute. That's one of my mom's non-negotiable rules. When I'm finally on my way to my own bus stop, I see Silas come around the corner of his trailer. He's in the 7th grade like me, and he and his dad have a good spot at the end of the road. So when they look out the window on one side, it's all trees. Hey, I call. Silas glances up from under his camo trucker hat. Hey, he says back. He climbs over a gray mound of snow left from the plows and catches up with me. What's up? He asked. Silas has the kind of freckles that make you want to connect the dots to form constellations and dragons and things. Other kids give him a hard time because, heaven forbid, if you're a boy and you have a habit of crying when you're sad, people make fun of you. Silas, though, is a very nice kid. Still, I'm not about to let my mouth run about not having electricity. Not much, I say. Silas kicks a chunk of ice and it skids along the road. Aren't you going to ask me? He asks. Asked you what? What's up? He says. Oh, I watch him as he plods forth in his steel-toed boots, his hands in his pocket, and his eyes on the line of trees beyond the trailer. There's something about Silas that's different from everyone else I know. What's up? I asked. My dad and I went hunting this weekend. He drops his voice. For bobcats. I look around. Why are you whispering? Is that illegal? He shakes his head. Open season until the 2nd week of February. It's just. He pauses and glances at me like somehow we're part of some awesome conspiracy. The bobcat is the most challenging game there is. Pure stealth. In the whole state, only a couple dozen hunters will be successful this year. Why? Are they really rare? Silas keeps his eyes on the trees. They're around, but you've got to be like a cat to find them. And they aren't as many places to track them now. You remember that big town meeting about guns last year? I nod. That meeting was one of the other rare times that Lenny's father got out of his chair and left the house. He even took his .22 rifle down from the shelf, cleaned it, and put it back up before he went. He always keeps it there in case the government goes all tyrannical. And he made Lenny go out to the meeting, and Lenny made the rest of us go. It seemed like it was one bunch of people trying to tell another bunch of people what to do. And who likes being told what to do, especially if the person doing the telling didn't grow up here and doesn't get how things have always been. Well, those anti-hunting people put no trespass signs up in their woods, but that doesn't mean we're going to give up, Silas says. We tracked both sides of public lands along Squaretail Brook, all the way down the hillside to where it runs into Bill River. He raises his eyebrows. We didn't find a single sign of bobcat. Not even any tracks, I say. You must be bummed. He shakes his head. It's all part of the hunt. You've got to be just as stealthy as they are. Sometimes a bobcat will match his steps to a coyote's tracks and will go footprint for footprint. Maybe Silas is stealthy enough to figure out how to reconnect our electricity without the company knowing. But it might have to be a bobcat-shaped electrical box for him to pay any attention to it. He's going on now about what does scratch marks look like on trees, about how you have to keep your face to the wind when you're tracking. Whatever bobcat is out there, it's one that knows how to hide, knows how to disappear. Too bad, man, I say. Silas stops walking, looks at me, and gives that same weird, we're part of the awesome conspiracy smile. No, not bad at all. I stare at him. I picture his dad and him sitting in the front seat of the truck, talking about bobcat tracks. They always seem so happy together, like they're on the same team. Hey, I say, do you know where you file that form to get help with electricity and stuff like that? He stops and looks back at me. I think my dad used to bring it to the family services up on Route 14. Oh yeah, thanks. He nods and goes back to talking about the bobcat stuff, about how snow conditions are perfect because they prefer to be able to walk on hard crusted snow. But this most recent dusting over that icy stuff will let him pick up his tracks. On and on and on until we reach the bus stop. It's packed with kids older than we, and who look a whole lot less grimier than I do. And he clams up like he's never once heard of a bobcat, because that's Silas's superpower, going for entire school days without talking. He's been doing it since the 5th grade, when Brendan Farley got people to place bets about how quickly Silas would start crying. So he's really good at being quiet now. Things would be a whole lot simpler if I could just build a wall around me like he does. I mean, I basically don't talk in class either, but it's so hard to keep my face blank when people are trying to mess with me. I file into the bus behind Silas and slide into the empty seat across from him. The bus is warm and quiet, but then I hear a voice behind me. It's Kaylee Vine making noises, as if a pile of rotting fish were just deposited in her lap. That smell, she says, like she always does. But it's not for long. I feel inside my backpack for my debate packet. My stomach drops. Where is it? I can't sit here anymore, I hear Kylie say as she grabs her stuff and heads to the back of the bus. My debate packet, sitting at home, still on the windowsill. Why did I think today would be any different? Chapter 4. I quickly pull my backpack closer to me and start drawing a cloud in the window's condensation. 1 circle, 2 circles. Make it puffy, puffier, puffier. This cloud needs to be so big I can disappear inside of it, someplace where I can't hear Kaylee's voice. The bus pulls away from the trailer park and starts heading down the street, where practically every house has a big yard, and some even have a swing set in back. I keep pretending to be an octopus and tracing my tentacle along the window, making the cloud get bigger and bigger until there isn't any condensation left to draw in. It still isn't big enough. The bus slows down for the next stop, and I peer through the wet window to see Matt Herbert waiting up ahead. His bus stop is magically right in front of his house. No need to cross the whole trailer park like me. Instead, he gets to strut down his perfectly snow-blown walk, probably after having waffles, an omelet, and several strips of bacon for breakfast, and probably after his mom gave him a kiss on the cheek and told him to have a good day, dear, and certainly after he checked his backpack to make sure he had his homework. I've seen his family before because they go out for pizza at the restaurant where my mom works, and they do that every single Saturday night, every single one. It's like it doesn't matter if it's a payday week or not. Like they never run out of gas in the car and they can't fill it up. Like it's easy for them all to be together at the same time with no one working or sick or totally stressed out or screaming. It's like Nat lives on a beautiful tropical island and I can see it and smell the pizza, but no matter how hard I swim, I can't get there. Matt gets on the bus, holds his trumpet case out in front of him so it can fit between the seats, and he makes his way towards the back. Even though we're in the same homeroom, he doesn't look my way. That's one of the things about people on that beautiful tropical island. They can't see who's floating about in the ocean around them. Or maybe they can and they just choose not to look. I don't know. I've never been there. Fuchsia was waiting for me in my locker when I arrived. Fuchsia isn't her real name, but she wasn't a fan of the name McKenna, and she's even less a fan of her mom. She found out about the color fuchsia in the 2nd grade, and since all the 1st grade kids were coming up to order a McKenna and fries like she was a drive-through window, She didn't look back. Now she's leaning against the locker next to mine, her pink hair splayed out behind her. I want you to know I destroyed that white team yesterday. White team? I dropped my backpack and started opening my locker. Are you talking about foosball at the rec? She nods. Destroyed. Who were you playing against? I carefully tucked the edges of my winter jacket inside my locker so the sleeves don't get pinched. I love my jacket. Lenny gave it to me. It was his random present one day because it's my mom who buys our clothes, not him. And it's one of those camo jackets with the sleeves that look like leather but aren't really. And it's pink. It's awesome. I told you, the white team. I eye her. And I destroyed them, she says, 9-0. You mean you scored against a team of little plastic men who were frozen in place with no one to spin their handles. 9 times, baby. I bite back a smile and shut my locker. How long did that take? She shrugs. Just a few hours, but I was persistent, and I had promised Jane Kitty I would bring home a victory. Jane Kitty is a scuffy little ball of fur who followed Fuchsia home this past fall. I've been going on about Jane Goodall all lunch that day. The Fuchsia, who felt like living in the jungle, would be way better than living with her mom, adopted the wild kitten as her own piece of jungle. I haven't gotten to meet Jane Kitty yet because my mom and Fuchsia's mom had a big blow up about the time we moved into Lenny's trailer. We haven't been able to go to each other's places since, but Fuchsia talks about her all the time. Jane Kitty might be more proud of you if you would score against an actual opponent, I say. How many points did I score against you last time? Fuchsia puts on a fake thinking face. I can't remember because it was so long ago. Well, I'm pretty sure I can remember your score. It started with a Z, and Fuchsia puts her finger to my mouth to stop me. Sorry, you only get to talk smack if you're going to show up. I couldn't yesterday, I start to say, but Fuchsia is already heading down the hall. No show, no smack, she calls. Elementary school goes through the 6th grade here. So this is our first year of middle school, and even though we're already halfway through the school year, I still haven't figured out the point of having a homeroom. Yeah, Mr. Bontemps takes attendance, but they take attendance during classes too. And there's the morning announcements over the loudspeaker about all the activities the good kids get to do, like drama and jazz band, but that still leaves us 8.5 minutes of awkwardness. There aren't assigned seats, so I usually just try to find a seat in the back where no one will bother me. Unfortunately, I can't get there without walking past some girls who are going on about the animals they chose for the debate. And of course, they have their perfectly filled out forms. I pretend I'm an octopus again, and my octopus skin starts switching to camouflage. When I slide into the seat, I might as well be made of the same colors as the desk and the metal chair legs. I close my eyes. All I had to do was put the debate packet in my backpack. I could have done it last night when I finished it. I could have done it this morning before I woke up. Bryce and Aurora. I should have thought about it on my way to the bus stop. I could still have run back to get it. Oh, but I didn't do any of those things. Most of the boys in my homeroom are bunched together like bees swarming an open jar of grape jelly. They're all buzzing, mostly about the Patriots game yesterday, like it's a jar of jelly is moving because soon the swarm is in the back corner right next to my desk. They're oblivious to me, of course, and I shift my backpack out of the way before it gets stepped on. The last thing I need to do is to be walking around with a giant footprint on my bag. I'd rather pretend that I'm not sure what people think of me instead of being forced to carry around physical proof of it. Come on, Brendan Farley is saying. That was definitely the best part of the game. Did you see the look on that receiver's face when he dropped the ball? Priceless. Calvin Umdegaard shakes his head. No way, man. It was the Pats' hurry-up offense in the 3rd quarter. The Colts defense line didn't know what was coming at them. Matt, with his trumpet-playing lungs, quiets them all down. You're all wrong. The best play of the game was clearly the fumble on the 3rd down in the 1st quarter, and that's because he pauses for dramatic effect. Because the Colts were in the field goal position, I mumbled to my desk. The sudden silence around me is the kind that makes me lift my head without thinking. And there is Matt Hubbard looking right at me. Exactly, he says. He's still looking at me. My octopus camouflage skin has turned bright pink and pimply all over. Chapter 5. The social studies and science interdisciplinary block arrives like a slow motion steamroller. The wall between the social studies and the science classrooms has been opened. I'm on the social studies side because that's the class I would usually have now. But at least I can see the tanks of hermit crabs on the science side. They could use a cleaning. I signed up for extra help in the science during the special ACE period on Wednesdays because I don't do homework in that class either. But it's okay because Mr. Peck lets me spend the period cleaning the tanks. They're usually filthy. I figure he's the one who needs extra help. Let's get cracking, Mrs. Rose calls out. I want to see nothing on your desk except your debate packets. I'll be coming around to check. Around me, everyone moves in a flurry, clearing off their desks to leave only their beautiful, filled out, remembered packets. Octopuses can squish their bodies down to no bigger than a crumbled up bag of chips. By the time Mrs. Rochenbrew gets to my desk, I might as well be that balled up bag with all the chip bits eaten, ready to be tossed into the trash. Miss Rochenbrew raises her eyebrows when she gets to me. Not in a how clever to ball up like a bag of chips way, but in that you have disappointed me with your very being way that teachers are so good at. She shakes her head as she writes my 0 into her grade book. Sometimes, Zoe, I hope you surprise me. I forgot it at home, I say to my desk. I promised I finished it. Uh-huh, she murmurs. It doesn't do you any good at home, unfortunately. She pretends she believes me. I pretend I don't want to squirt octopus ink all over this classroom. Maybe I could be in the debate anyway, I say, even though she's already moved on to the next kid. I know all my facts. She doesn't look up from the other kid's packet. Then you should have brought in your filled out packet so I could see that. I was very clear with my expectations. Having to sit and watch everyone else is even worse than getting Ms. Rochenbow's raised eyebrows of disappointment. Calvin Umentor mumbles through his opening statement about the terrifying Tyrannosaurus Rex, reading directly from his packet. Then Matt Herbert is up. He stands up like he's been waiting his whole life for the opportunity to address the combined social studies and science classes. My friends, the best animal on this earth is clearly the oca. Did I make up that whole Matt agreeing with me in homeroom thing? Did that even happen? Because part of me feels like I shouldn't be allowed to think the name Matt Herbert, or at least that if I do, angry flying Vikings will show up and beat me over the head with wooden swords, yelling, not worthy, because he's a whole package, like an all-expense paid trip to Disney World package. And I'm nothing like that. Maybe I'm the stub of an already used bus ticket, specifically the bus that my dad took to get away from us. And even then, I'm the ticket stub that's at the back of the bus with muddy boot marks all over it. But he didn't talk to me, did he? And he looked at me like he could see me, like he respected my amazing analysis of the Patriots game. Because it was amazing, wasn't it? These animals are fierce predators. They can swim up to 30 miles an hour, Matt is proclaiming. He definitely isn't reading off the packet like Calvin was. Ocas work together in teams to take down their prey, and he raises his finger in the air. They will share the meat with the whole pod. In a flash, he produces a giant bag of Swedish fish and starts passing them out. He keeps up his presentation over the joyful squills as people get handfuls of candy fish delivered to their desk. I pop one in my mouth. It's delicious. Could I have actually competed with this? And their camouflage, Matt goes on. Their black back blends in with the ocean as someone is looking down on them. And their white belly blends in with the sky as someone is looking up. But two colors are nothing compared to the octopus constantly camouflaging, right? And you're all eating fish right now, but they hunt and eat a wide variety of animals, including the seal, the sea lion, the stingray, the squid, and the octopus. Right. I stopped eating the Swedish fish. Next, Kaylee Vine stands up. Her shirt says, I'm watching you, and it's got a picture of an owl with giant eyes, and it fits her perfectly, like all of her clothes do. Owls are the best animal. They're wise, and they have these things called light rods in their eyes, so they can see every single leaf on a tree in the middle of the night. And they can rotate their head more than 180 degrees, so they can see everything around them. There's something about the way Kaylee looks around at everyone that makes me think she might be able to rotate her head more than 180 degrees too. Under her watch, no detail goes unnoticed. I realize my shirt has slipped to the side and I fix it. The downside of a growth spurt means that my mom insists on buying clothes that are 2 sizes too big for me when she's at the consignment store. Their wings have a special pattern of interlocked feathers so they can fly silently through the air, Kaylee is saying. She isn't reading off her packet either. I wouldn't have needed to look at my packet. I know my octopus facts code, but still, Kaylee is saying this stuff not only like she's known it all of her life, but like everyone with half a brain would know it too. My leg starts twitching just imagining what it'd be like standing up there talking. Everyone would be looking at me, even the owl on Kaylee's shirt. This means they could sneak up on unsuspecting chipmunks and grab them with their sharp talons. And before you get all upset about the chipmunks, you should know they're actually helping the chipmunk population. The strong chipmunks know how to take care of themselves. The owls are weeding out the ones who don't, and that's better for everyone. I'm pretty sure it's not a coincidence she looks straight at me when she says this. Because if you can take care of yourself, you have clean clothes, and you won't smell like cigarette smoke, and you definitely remember your debate packet. And how is it fair for the kids who are on top of stuff to have to share the classroom with kids who aren't? And Calvin, I want you to know that I'm coming for you and your T-Rex's tiny little brain when we get to the Q&A part of this debate. If I had remembered my packet and made the mistake of getting up there, that owl on Kaylee's shirt would be full on rolling the giant eyes at me, along with everyone else by this point. Did I really think Kaylee Vine was going to be impressed with my octopus facts? Did I really think she was going to give me a pass when the whole point of the debate is to prove everyone else wrong? It's not enough to know your stuff. Not if one of the things you know for sure is that everyone you're going up against is better than you. Okay, I'm going to checking our time here. I'm going to stop at chapter 6, and that's where we'll start next week. I'm going to switch to a book called Be Kind, because that's exactly what we're talking about doing, okay? So this shows two little girls, and one has a bright yellow umbrella, and she's holding it over her friend's head because it is pouring rain, and she is being very kind to her friend. So let's open it up and see what happens. There's a little girl that has just dropped her grape juice, and the box split open, and it just splashed on top of her brand new dress. And this happens in the cafeteria. So all the other kids, okay, they're laughing, whoops, and they're pointing their fingers. And she is very sad. Mommy always tells me to be kind, so I tried. And she's here in the corner, okay? There's our friend. And she's not laughing, and she's not pointing her fingers. She's remembering what her mom said. I don't think it worked. The only thing I could think to say was, purple is my favorite color. And there's a little girl who dropped her juice box, and she's heading out into the hall. And I think she's crying. She was in art class the next time, but she didn't look at anybody. She just put on her art smart. I got out my paintbrush and my paints, and I tried to think of something to say to her. I made purple splotches on the paper, and then I put in some green leaves. I thought maybe they could look like they were grapes. Should I hand her my work? Should I have let her borrow my sweatshirt when she dropped her juice box? Oh, and then maybe I could have spilled my own juice so everyone stared at me instead. What does it mean to be kind instead? Okay, and it shows this picture of her. I mean, she's imagining what she could have done. Could she have put the juice box, it just emptied it on top of her head? And it shows her with all the kids around her, and she's purple all over. So that would have taken the attention off of her friends, and that would have the kids look at her. Could I have made cookies for the man down the street who doesn't have any family close by? And it shows her knocking at the door, and he's opened up the door, and he sees her very small, holding out her hand with the cookies. Could I let someone with smaller feet have my too tight shoes? And it shows maybe that's her brother, and he's wearing her old shoes, and he looks pretty happy because you know what? She won a race wearing those sneakers. Maybe it's helping, like putting dirty dishes in the sink or cleaning up after Otis, our class guinea pig. He's a messy eater. Remember last week you told me that you guys, some of you were helping your mom. And the dishes are going into the sink, and there's a little guinea pig. Okay, and she's she's helping clean up his face because he is a messy eater. Maybe being kind is paying attention, telling Desmond I like his blue boots, and asking the new girl to be my partner. Okay. Just listening to somebody tell their stories, and there's admiring her friend's blue boots when he's swinging up on the playground. Or maybe it's listening to her aunt when she's having tea together. You can see them through the window there, and the aunt is telling the same stories that she has heard many times before, but she doesn't interrupt her. She just listens to the stories again and again. Maybe being kind should be easy, like throwing away a wrapper or recycling a bottle or saying thank you and bless you. My mom says the quickest way to be kind is to use people's names. Okay? And that's saying thank you when she's handed something, or bless you when there's a sneeze and the little girl is right next to her and sneezing into her handkerchief. Okay? And that's saying please. Or no, that's throwing away her wrapper at the park in the recycling, or the garbage bag and the recycling containers right next door. And this is saying people's names, actually using their names when they say hello to you or you pass them when you're walking down the street. Being kind. I'm going to try to turn the page because they get stuck together. Being kind can be hard too, even when you know what to do. Teaching someone something I'm good at can be tricky, even when I'm patient. And she's at a table and her little brother's in the high chair, and she's trying to teach him the alphabet. She's got all the letters right in front of her. Well, she's got the A, B letters, and her little brother is dripping jelly all over the pages of the book. So she is being kind and patient. She's trying to be kind and patient. And sticking up for someone when other kids aren't kind is also really hard. And again, they're in the cafeteria, and this little kid is just eating his lunch quietly, and a big kid comes up and tries to bully him. And she watches what's going on and says, I need to go over there and stand next to my friend. But sometimes that's scary to do. Maybe I can't solve Tanisha's grape juice problem. Maybe all I can do is sit by her in art class and paint this picture for her, because I know she likes purple too. And there she is. She's got her paints next to her, and she has her brush in her hand, and she's looking over at her friend, who's still sad. She has her head down on the art desk, and she's not doing anything because maybe she's crying a little bit. Maybe I can only do small things, but my small things might just join small things other people do. And together they could grow into something big. Uh-oh, this person is telling a lady that her knitting is coming out of her basket that she's holding in her hand. He says, oh, wait, come back. Your knitting is unraveling. And then the grandmother goes inside and she's showing her little grandchild how to knit. So that's carrying kindness on. Something really big, so big that all of our kindnesses spill out of our school and spread throughout the town. So you've got pictures of people in the town, and they're doing kind things for each other. They're holding open the door, helping put things in the trash box. So beyond the school, it's going into the town streets and spread throughout the town, helping someone carry books, going to the bus stop, giving someone else a seat while they're waiting for the bus. And then it could spread across the country, all those kind acts, and go all the way around the world. Welcome home, says the sign. They have a soldier getting off an airplane in a wheelchair, but they have people there with a big sign that says, welcome home. Okay. And this little group of children are playing musical instruments at a park. Maybe, I think it's in Brazil. Okay. So this could be up in the Scandinavia countries when someone's helping someone who's fallen down ice skating on the frozen pond. And the little girl has lost her glasses and her friend is helping her pick them up. This little girl is reaching up high in the bookshelf to get a book down. The little boy in France can't quite reach it. Right back to Denisha and me, so we can be kind again and again and again. And it finally shows her giving her friend, remember that painting I told you about? Looks like, well, since the painting has turned into maybe purple flowers with leaves. And she gives her friend her drawing, her painting. And I think she's cheering up. She's not crying anymore. Okay. And that's what happens when you're kind to someone. Oh, okay. Look what happens. So she takes the painting home, and she's kneeling on her bed, and she hangs the painting up next to the bed on the wall. And that's the name of the book called Be Kind. Okay. You know, we can share with Laura all the things that we have done to be kind this week. We're going to fill that jar up with Legos and marbles. Thank you.